Hello. Thank you for tuning in to the WIC Scheduler Training. Thank you for tuning in to the WIC Scheduler Training. Today we're going to work towards greater understanding of the administrative side of scheduling. This training is unusual in that we are going to be manipulating existing templates within the scheduler side of the WIC system. And the first step is to do no harm. It would be helpful for you to establish an account in the WIC Training SSO, for which you need to establish roles. You need to contact our colleague at Kathy Boynton at our office, and she can set you up for a training SSO. The staff sign into the WIC Training SSO website, and then you can operate in that without harming your existing templates. Here's our agenda for today. As I said, we'll focus on learning the scheduling tasks portion of the WIC system, giving you the lingo and the insight to create or modify templates, set up close days and holidays, adjust schedules, and set up your auto dialer and appointment caller timetables. We base this training on the information in the courses at myhealth.org. The WIC admin module that was developed by MPHI staff Lori Taylor and Jane Boyden. Would not hesitate to recommend that you review this information after this training or as you are training a new scheduler person. Let's go into the scheduler vocabulary because it's all a little bit different than what you expect. What we mean by a column is called in the system scheduled staff. A summary button says to make active. The daily schedule allows you to keep track of appointments that are scheduled, notify clients of upcoming appointments, and we can also include things like walk-in column and overflow column, and those clients don't receive the regular appointment notices that you would normally have in a regular schedule template. The daily schedule screen allows you to know who's checked in and going into the more detailed kind of aspect of it, when did they check in, how long have they been in the clinic, schedule staff necessary to provide services for the schedule that you have on hand. Also, WIC sends missed appointment cards to clients who don't keep appointments. So if you have clients that are blue instead of purple, those clients will get missed appointment cards 3 days later. That way, again, hopefully they'll contact you to remain active in the WIC system. Also, the daily schedule screen generates show rate data for staff and management documenting WIC services. So very important to maintain your activities on the daily schedule screen. If you have walk-in clients, to put them in so you get yourself credit for what you're doing. On the daily schedule, the elements include the appointments that are available. Any of the green fields that you see on a screen, those mean that those are open for appointment available. The scheduler staff are known as the columns, so you can see the columns, and then the different appointments that are available during those time periods are also embedded in the columns. And again, you might have some variation where the regular columns might be available for cert, recert, that sort of thing. And then you have a nutritionist column that really focuses on the high-risk client as part of the template. Appointment types are allowed or indicated. So for the green area on the screen, there'll be the appointment types that are listed. If you might get an error message if you try to put a P-cert in column 1 where it doesn't have a P-cert available and labeled as part of that column. Here's also where you activate scheduled clients. So you can click on appointment, or once the client has arrived, click on summary, and that turns that appointment purple, and that allows us to be able to know the client is here and provide them service. You can also print the schedule or screen for your use at the appointment desk or back in the clinic as well. And you also click on the Make Active button. That would just allow you to look at what's in that appointment. So the schedule screen is the next one I wanted to talk about, and that has the little clock icon up here on the file menu. This allows us to look for appointments for an individual or a family. It allows us to select the schedule category. So you might have been working with a client who's been pregnant. She calls and said, aha, I've had my baby and I want to enroll him. And she's a breastfeeding mom now, so it allows us to say, okay, her schedule category is BE, baby's schedule category is IBE, and then again we can kind of know what to expect for that client. We can select the appointment type that's necessary, so again it allows us to be able to say, okay, what's the next appointment? Adjust the duration of the appointment as necessary. Select the start date for the appointment. So for a new baby, of course, you want to get them in as soon as possible. For research, you might want to schedule that client 3 months down the line. The default for the start date as you come to this screen is 2.5 months into the future. And that again allows us to be able to think about, okay, I'm going to be recertifying this client in about 2.5 months so that they have their research done before their benefits are expired. It also allows us to deploy that start calendar, so I can click down and the down arrow will bring me to that screen where it shows the calendar. If I click on the today, it goes back to today's appointment. So this will default to the 2.5 months out, but if I click on today, then that'll show me the soonest appointments if I go forward. Once you click the search button, the system will search for the next available appointment based on the search criteria. And then you can look at the appointments that it selects and decide what's the best date and time for your client. Sometimes the clients say, well, you've got that 8:30 appointment, but I really can't come in until after the older kids are in school, so I'd prefer the 9 o'clock appointment, and you can adjust the time if there's additional time in that time frame. For a family appointment, MyWIC will schedule a CERT appointment along with the NCRD or EDU appointment in the scheduler staff column designed for CERT appointments to keep all the family members together. So at least one person in the family has to be a CERT to be in the certification column, but other appointments can be scheduled along with that if that one appointment is available. Also on the schedule screen, we have a feature called the early appointment desired. This allows you to check that box, and for a client who says, I'd really like to get in sooner than the appointment that you've scheduled me for, and you'll be able to, if another client cancels an appointment, the system will pop up and say, aha, we have that appointment that you wanted available. Do you want to contact that client? So again, it gives us a chance to be able to meet our client's needs if it becomes available. So you'll get that pop-up that shows clients desiring earlier appointments. You can click on that list. It'll bring up that client's information, and you'll be able to schedule them in that time slot if that's available. What happens when you're working with one client and another client calls for an appointment? You have the option of searching for the caller, or you can click on the Quick Scheduler feature. If you look at the Scheduler tab at the top of the screen and deploy that menu and click on Quick Scheduler to quickly return to your client's existing screen. So your existing client will stay on the screen. You can deploy the Quick Scheduler and a pop-up occurs allowing you to schedule an appointment, search for another family, and schedule an appointment for that client. So if you know the mom's authorized person's last name and first name, you click Find. It will find her family and then allow you to go ahead and schedule that appointment. So let's go back over to the admin side of the MyWIC system. We've talked about what you see in the clinic, and now we want to talk about how do we build the templates that you see in the daily schedule. Templates are the structure for creating and generating a daily schedule. They include staff columns, appointment types, start and end time, and they provide a basis for notification of appointments through cards and calls or texts. Templates are created at the local agency level, but then can be used by any clinic within the agency. You need to consider the staff available at any given time, the need for appointment in a timely manner, for example, your high priority appointments, the clinic flow, how you want things to work as far as that's concerned. And templates can include one column of staff or 20 columns, which we don't recommend because it's really hard to manage, and obviously that's what your staff are going to be faced with if they end up with a column with columns that spread from here to eternity. And again, one of the things that we need to know about is that if you have something that's called an overflow or a walk-in column, the appointments don't receive notices. So you need to try to fit those clients who you schedule 10 days or more ahead of time into one of the other regular columns for them to receive notice. So getting into the system, we click on the admin module and select your agency, click OK. For scheduling tasks, again, we're looking at the menu that's available and the elements that are included as far as that's concerned. So for a new template, which are the backbone of the schedule creation, we click on local agency, click on go, click on add schedule staff, and that's how we create columns for each appointment. Click go, add schedule staff, and let's go forward from there. Here are the steps that we use to create the scheduler staff columns. This is probably the most complicated part of my WIC. We thought that some of the other screens, but this one is the one that took me the longest to really understand, and I'm not sure that I have mastered it, but let's give you at least the run around the field. First, we click on the new button. So if you click on the new button, then you enter the column name in the staff field. So if it could be just column 1 or column 2, or it could be nutritionist or high risk only. It could be any name that you want. Usually it's not an individual's name, but we have seen that you know, if I wanted to create a schedule that I only saw my clients, then it would be Terry's schedule, and go on from there. Then you click on include an appointment search. So for this column, you do want this column to be included as part of the appointment search. If you're doing a walk-in or overflow column, you may not want to have that included in the appointment search. You may want to make that available only when the other appointments have already been filled. Then you want to click on the add button, and the clinic drop downs from the in that clinic grid allows you to indicate which clinics do you want to be able to use this column. So again, you set the structure up so that that column is affiliated with that particular clinic. And you can then add additional clinics that can use that scheduled staff column as well. So it may not be something that's exclusive to one site. You can use it at other sites and then just add additional rows, and the clinics will be able to be a drop-down option as far as that's concerned. And then before you do anything else, you need to save or close. And then repeat the steps for each new scheduler column that's desired. So if you know that you already have existing cert recert columns, but you really want to have a new WCC column for the WIC Client Connect button, that might be the staff column that you're missing in your schedule, so you can add that and then add that to the clinics and save that information. Usually these are named for the and the columns are usually named for the types of appointments desired. Some people use like CERT, ReCERT, or C, R for ReCERT, I eval, C eval, IE, CE, that kind of thing for the template or for the staff names. And again, it's just whatever works for you. You don't want to make the column name so long that it'll take up extra real estate. So, you know, probably a maximum of maybe 10 characters altogether. And here, we've created a new column for the breastfeeding specialist. So that's included as part of our test clinic. So again, just looking at how to do this as far as the template screen is concerned, let's go through the steps here. So this is going to be kind of fast, but we're adapting a template, and so we're clicking on that and then saving the new name, and then we're going to edit it and add the staff to our existing template or to a new template. So it allows us to be able to do that by selecting the staff name. We also have to put in the sort order, and that tells us where in the real estate that's on the scheduler screen is this particular column going to be. And then we want to include the start time and end time and indicate what appointment types are going to be allowed for that column. So in this case, since this is a breastfeeding specialist, she's not a ReCERT or CERT person, she's going to be dealing with clients who are coming in for breastfeeding assistance. And so that would be right now considered an other appointment. We also have the breastfeeding staff, so the lactation consultant is working with the peer counselor, and again, that might be different times during the day that you have those appointments available, but you can adapt that to what's necessary and what is appropriate for that particular staff. Want to make sure we have time for lunch if they're not overlapping lunch times when you have that staff available, so that the client's not booked during the lunch period. And when you go back, and that last thing was just a peek at the last screen that you saw was a peek at the generated schedule. So you've got all of those elements that you can do on this admin side of the screen. So again, we'll kind of go through step by step as to how that works. One more time. So again, we want to click on the new button, put in the new template name, and then we want to save that information. We want to go and edit the existing information and add that breastfeeding specialist staff, the lactation consultant, or the CLE that provides breastfeeding advice. Indicate what order of the screen that you want this column to fall in. Indicates the times that the specialist is going to be available and the types of appointments that she'll be available for. The same thing for the afternoon schedule. Again, you just add a row to be able to do that, and it will continue to go forward, indicating the other. And again, we're adding additional staff for the breastfeeding peer, add morning appointments for her, keep that in the 5th column, so that, again, when you look at the scheduler screen, the breastfeeding columns will be over to the right-hand side of the screen, and indicating her afternoon schedule as well. If you make a mistake and want to start over again, you actually have to click on the Remove button to edit this process. So we've saved this, now we've closed it, and you can see now in the template the available columns. A lot of steps to get to that point. So we've got another illustration of a new template, and we'll go through it one more time here. So we have a situation where we don't have any template name. We're going to just start completely fresh. So we don't have any existing columns. We don't have a template name. Click on the New button. And put in a name for the new template. Click on Save. Oops, sorry. Click on Save. And then click on Edit. And again, we go into the various possibilities. These are all the staff columns that you already have in the system. So you've added that Project Fresh staff column as well, and that allows us to schedule or designate a column for Project Fresh. So again, we go through the process of being able to say we're going to add the staff and then add the rows to be able to have the morning and afternoon appointment times and designate that column for Project Fresh. And again, you can do with that template any additional types of appointments or columns that you need. It takes quite a few steps to get a completed template, especially if many columns are involved like this one. You may have to set time aside for specific appointments to help with clinic flow, such as C-eval or I-eval appointments that occur just before lunch. So you kind of have to designate that's what you want on your schedule. And then you can see here that the schedule has been delineated so that just before lunch we have that shorter C-eval appointment scheduled to make the day go better as far as the clinic flow is concerned. This schedule displays 5 columns horizontally. And if you had a scroll bar below this, you'd know that there were more than 5 columns that were available to be looked at for schedules. And so that becomes more complex in terms of finding an appointment if you don't see it on your screen. After completing the staff column, sort order assignment can again help to indicate the most popular or most important columns, and then as you go down to the right you might have the least important ones hidden as part of the scroll under the scroll. If you're editing a template, you must remove the staff column, as I said. Just click on Remove and then add the staff again along with the time frames if you want to do any editing. So let's go through that edit process on that template again. You must remove that staff name column and then click and then you can see that that column is no longer there. Then again, you can add the column back in if you need to adjust the time to make it appropriate. At this point in time, you can always again change the sort order on the template, so that can be adjusted without removing the column, but the times have to be, you have to remove the whole element and replace it before you can do the editing. And once you've saved it, then that's the process. So here you can see that we've edited that information so that you only have column 1 and column 3. We took out column 2, and that allows us to be able to serve the clients that are scheduled for that time, but we don't have that second nutritionist available that we did on that original template. When the Edit Template pop-up opens, add staff from the drop-down selection. Click on the Add button to add rows for start and end time, and then select the appointment types to be served. Assign the sort order for the column to appear, and then make sure you've assigned the appointment types as well, and then click Close. Verify that the appointments appear properly on the screen. So is that really what you wanted to be able to do for adding that number 2 column back into our template? Sometimes you want to copy a template from one clinic to another or modify it with a calendar, and so there's a little customization for that clinic site. So you start with that basic information. Select the base template and then click on the rename feature right here, and then enter the new name and click Save. So you've got that copied, and then again you can edit it just like you would any other template. So I know that's been complicated, so take a few minutes and go and set up a practice template using these directions. Sign on to your this is the training SSO using your training ID. So you'll come into this particular SSO, the SSO QA, state.mi.us, which will look a little bit different than what you're used to as in production, but that won't harm anything that exists in your production scheduler already. And then select the templates and click LA, select your LA and click Go. In this situation, we'd like to have you select New, and then in the staff type or column, type column 1, check Include in the appointment search, and then Add Clinic. Select one or more clinics that you normally would work with. You'll notice that the training database looks very much like my WIC. It's a little weird in color, but has the similar elements that you see in your day-to-day WIC program. And then you click Save. Again, you want to add column 2, column 3, breastfeeding support, nutrition ed, and then add other and walk-in, and then don't include other and walk-in in the appointment search. So we're trying to get all of the names of staff included as part of the template setup. And then on the template screen, click New, then enter the name of the for the new template in the templates field. Enter 15 MWF, so that would be 2015 Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule, and then click on Save. Now you need to click on, or you click Edit, and then the Edit Template columns the screen comes up, and then here is where you want to add the staff columns. So click on Add Staff and click on column 1, click on Sort Order, click on Add, and then you add the start times 8 a.m. to 11:45 a.m. and then you select the and then you select the appointment types: CERT, C-Eval, I-Eval, P-CERT, and ReCERT. And you want to add the afternoon schedule, and then start time 12:30, end time 4:30, and again check the appointments that are indicated. Add column 2 and 3 with the same start and end times and appointment types, and sort them as number 2 and number 3. Next, you want to add your breastfeeding other appointment type, or breastfeeding column with the other appointment type, and sort that as column 4. Add another column with nutrition ed, same times, with a sort appointment 5, and those check the NE and NCRD appointment types. And then add other and walk-in column and all appointment types and sort those as number 6 and 7. So a lot of information is being put onto one template. Now that we have a template set up, and you can continue to practice as many templates as you want, but that was just kind of a walkthrough, see how that went. Then you can go ahead and, using that template that you've just built, generate a schedule. Click on the Generate Schedule, so select one of your schedules, and then you can put the date range in that you'd like to serve. So just put in a 2-month date range, and then make that Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then click on the Generate Schedule. The system will do that, and it'll give you a feedback. And in this case, I had already built some other schedules that conflicted with it, but we give a chance to review the schedule by looking at the daily schedule, and you can see that the template is created just like you had intended. So that's a way of being able to verify that the template builds and assigns and builds exactly what you want in the schedule without having to click over to the clinic module. For the days you selected that template's been assigned, instead of a date range, you can also select Tuesday by just clicking on the day of the week, or a day or several days of the month by looking at the days. By looking at the days of the month that you want to select, you can just click Control and then select those days on the calendar. Some options include using Saturday or Sunday to select in certain days of the schedule. So let's try about generating a schedule for Tuesday and Thursday. In this situation, we have a late day on Tuesday, so we want to follow the same sequence: select the template, select the clinic, select the start and end date, but only pick a Tuesday, and then generate the schedule. And again, we have that appointment scheduled now available till later on the evening, as we normally do on Tuesdays, at this clinic anyway. So for your practice, let's go ahead and do that too, where you generate an appointments for a Thursday clinic as well. Again, you want to select the date range, about 2 weeks from now, up to about 2 weeks from now. Click on Thursday and select your just a template that you have built, and generate that information. So how do I know, again, that the schedules got generated properly? We can look at that daily schedule and verify that we have built the proper schedule that we want. So every once in a while something happens where a schedule changes, or you generate something that you don't want to have in the schedule, and you need to be able to do an undo, redo, and so there is a way of being able to look at an undo schedule. Click on Undo Schedule, select the clinic, select the staff or the column name that you want to change, select the start and end date, the start and end time, and click on Delete button, and it will delete the column except for any appointments that have already been scheduled during that time. So if you already have appointments on the schedule for some reason, it won't cancel them or move them, but it will just blank everything else out. So it'll go from green to white, meaning that there's no schedule available during that time. So that's, you find the undo schedule and then you set in those parameters that you want. and it takes out the time in that afternoon. Maybe your staff member has a late afternoon appointment that she's not able to provide WIC service. So again, let's practice the daily schedule and undo in the test database or training database. So you'll pull up your SSO again, your training SSO again, and review the daily schedule for the first day of the schedule generated, and undo the schedule column 1 from 1 p.m. to the end of the day. And again, you maybe don't even know the end of the day, what time that is, but you could put it at like 8 o'clock, and that would take out the rest of the schedule. Another practice for undo schedule, you're going to use it quite a bit, so we want to make sure you're familiar, is to start 5 days from today and end date the same day. Select the start time from 3:30 and end time at 4:30. Click delete, and again, you want to verify by checking the schedule. Next, we want to move on to a class setup. Some agencies have classes in their schedule for Project Fresh or infant feeding, breastfeeding 101, or other topics that you offer during the course of your clinic. For a schedule to include a class, you must have a schedule with an EDU appointment type for the period that you want your class. So you need to keep that in mind. Class name must also exist in the system, so let's show you how to be able to do that. To add a class name, go to the scheduling tasks, click on class setup, select the clinic from the drop-down list, and select go. Click on the class names button. Oops. And enter a new class name. And here it's Eat Local, and we labeled it the 2015 Project Fresh topic. So that's what we intend to do there. And then click Save. If you have a class that has been now no longer used, you can also remove a class name. Select the class name that you need to remove, or click on the class names screen. Select the class name you need to remove. Click the Remove button and answer yes to the pop-up that asks if you want to remove the class name. In this case, we want to get rid of the old Project Fresh one that doesn't indicate the current topic. And then again, click Close. So again, let's practice the class setup. Select your clinic and click Go. And here we want to select the class name, the topic that you're going to be really focusing on that records in the MyWIC system. Where is your nutrition ed appointment available? And that in this case is in column 4. The date you want to select, the start time. The end time will normally default to 15 minutes. So if you have a longer class that you are scheduling, then you need to change the end time. Then you can also put in the max size of your class. And when you click on the daily schedule, select that clinic and look for that day, and you'll see that the class is shown in the nutrition ed column. So again, quite a few steps to get that class set up in place. When you look at the class setup, it also tells you then in the log of classes for existing classes that the class is set up for 10 o'clock on May 4th. Now there might be times when you want to take an existing class and make it happen at 10 o'clock every Tuesday. So you can actually edit and copy classes using the class setup screen. To edit max size, just click on the row and adjust the max size in the clinic. To copy an existing class, you just have to click on the row, click copy. It'll bring you that class screen, keep everything the same, except for then you can then adjust the date, the times, and the size of the class, and that will add to your schedule when you save it. So again, that's an easy way to keep the classes so that they meet your needs along the way. And we see we added that breastfeeding class. So let's practice setting up a class. Set up these 2 classes for 10 days from now. Remember, you have to have an existing schedule with EDU appointments available on that date and during the stated time period. So if you don't have appointments generated for that period, you want to go ahead and start with that. So here, again, we're going to set up a class called Fun and Healthy Snacks. And the topic is snacks. The staff is in the nutrition ed field. We don't have to specifically identify the staff, just the type of staff that are going to be able to do this. Again, we want to set up that so it gives us the date from now, 10 days from now, and the start and end time of that class. And we want to go in and edit the class, click on the class names, existing classes field, and you can then change the max size for that class. Whew, we're getting through some of the other features, getting to some of the other features in the scheduling tasks area menu. The next one I wanted to talk about was the office closed area. And here is where we enter the days when the office will be closed. And this is when you won't be serving any clients on that day. So it must be a full day. You can't say, okay, I want Friday afternoon. Those are our clinic times when we don't serve clients. That has to be done through the templating process rather than through the office closed. And no appointments will be allowed on that date. So if you have walk-ins or something like that, you can't use the office closed feature and still be able to schedule appointments or do anything with that client. You can see that it brings up a calendar and indicates in red the office days that you already have closed. So let's just follow through the feature. If I'm interested in adding additional ones, I can click on the standard holidays that are listed in the WIC system. And in this case, our clinic is not closed for Veterans Day, even though the state will be closed during that time. And I can either click Save or Close and see that I've checked the appropriate holidays. And in this case, we didn't see any of those holidays, but and then you can go and you can select individual days on the calendars and put in those dates, and then the office closed reason, and then those dates will be highlighted in red as well once you save it. And you can see that that client, our holidays are now scheduled as office closed days. And once you've marked a day close, it will show up in red on the clinic schedule on this, it will show on the clinic schedule on this screen in red. If you hover over the date, the system will display the day of the title of the day closed. So if they're state holidays, there'll be our message that says that they're closed. And for the daily holidays, this one, just the day is closed for an agency meeting on this screen, then you'll see that will be available. Just to let you know and remind you that on the standard holidays that are listed in the system, those holidays, the de jure staff will not be available. Those are state holidays, and you won't be able to call the state for assistance. So let's go through this practice and close some days. Select your clinic, click Go, and then click on the standard holidays that you would be normally closed. Click Closed, and then verify that those holidays are in red. Here, we add some other days to our calendar. And again, we want to click Go, click on the Other Days Closed button. Oh, sorry. Record the next month on the 29th, the clinic staff meeting, and another Friday 3 months from now where you have an all-staff meeting. Click Close, and again, verify those dates are closed. So a couple of practice times here. I want to tell you a little bit about this one, the mass reschedule option. Occasionally we find that our office must be closed on a date when we had planned to be open, and we already had clients scheduled. We can use that mass rescheduled feature, but there are some conditions for that. When all the appointments in a staff column or schedule need to be moved for a specific period or day, and you have the exact same staff column available and empty for you to be able to move those appointments to. So it's kind of, you could create another schedule for that day or for another day or for another site so that it mimics the existing schedule that you have. For example, you had a flood or some other reason why your office must be closed at one site, but you can serve those clients at another clinic and have staff move over there. Again, that would be a way that you could be able to replicate that. And as I said, you have to have the exact same staff or columns to mass reschedule. The system won't reschedule into different times or different staff so it just will be the same if you try that mass reschedule into something that's not exactly the same template. So let's go through the steps. Select the clinic from the drop-down list. Select the clinic to from the drop-down list. So this is if you're moving clients from the clinic to another site. Select the staff from the staff from drop-down. So again, those would be the columns, all columns or individual columns. Or you can, like I said, one column or all the columns depending on what you select. Select the staff from the staff if you want to do an individual column. Select the dates from and to, and then click on the reschedule button. It's complicated. This one is not easy, and so it's something we don't see used very often. Again, we want to select but you'll see that once you've done all of that, then you can go back and check and see that all the appointments were rescheduled successfully. It'll also list if you weren't able to reschedule all the appointments. For example, you had somebody already in the 10 o'clock appointment that you attempted to reschedule. One of the other features of this admin area is the message board. This is a feature where messages are created and sent, sort of like email, but not as flexible. Some coordinators have seen notices on their message board when a complaint is recorded, and that's probably the most common time when you've seen it. Doesn't work as well as we had hoped when we built this system, but it is a feature that's available. You can create messages that go statewide to all users, to all local agency staff, or to all clinic users if you select that. If you go to that screen, then select the title of the staff who you want the messages to be delivered to, such as the coordinator or the CPA. Input the subject and the message, select the priority and an expiration date, and click on Send. The staff will then have the title selected in the staff who had the title selected in the message board grid on their staff information screen will then be delivered the message. If the staff don't have anything selected for that grid, then you won't get anything in the message. So again, you want to make sure that your staff information screens are all up to date. And this is a system where staff can't reply, so it's not a good substitute for email. But if you need to send out something fast, you get a notice from the state that the system is about to go down, or that needs to be shut down at 5 o'clock this afternoon because of updates or something, that's one way that you can notify your staff. One of the things that makes it so that this is harder to use than what we had anticipated is that it doesn't allow the message icon for the detail to be shown. So again, you'll see that the message board is displayed, you'll be able to pop over the message detail, but it should highlight on the screen that you have a message. One of the other features that I wanted to talk about is the appointment waiting list. Waiting lists in the WIC program, thankfully, are only used when your agency has received permission to start a waiting list, and only after consultation to when you're exceeding your assigned caseload, or you're not able to increase your caseload. So this is when you don't have appointments available in a timely fashion because you have too many clients enrolled. Fortunately, we haven't had an issue as far as funding in the WIC program, so we haven't had to make cuts in our caseload because of funding, but every once in a while you'll run into a problem with staffing where you have to kind of cut down on the amount of clients that you are able to serve just based on availability of staff. So we try to do our best to be able to assist you in not cutting your clientele, because that takes a long time to build caseload, and we don't want to do anything to damage your reputation in the community. Once the waiting list is turned on, and that's turned on at the state level after consultation, the low risk, low priority clients, and the lowest priority clients are your NPP clients or your children that are 4 that don't have a medical risk. Those clients will complete their certification period but then be placed on a waiting list. If a 4-year-old or an NPP without any known medical risk is calling to ask for an appointment, then those clients would automatically be placed on the waiting list before even being certified. But for those that are in an existing certification period, they'll continue to the end of that period, and then they'll be placed on the waiting list. And once your caseload is stabilized, your staffing is stabilized, then clients can be recalled from the waiting list if all the high priority clients can be scheduled, and then that list will be deployed starting with those clients who've been on the list the longest. So this is helpful to be aware that this feature is out there, but again, it's something we hope that you never have to deploy, because it really does take a long time to be able to come back from a waiting list kind of circumstance. So a more fun feature of the My WIC system is the auto dialer. We have a contract with One Call Now out of Texas, and they call or text your clients prior to their appointments and as a reminder. So that's a really helpful thing to be able to free up your staff to be able to remind clients of their upcoming appointments. For clients that are scheduled 10 days ahead of an appointment, they also receive postcards that are generated and sent by the state WIC program. So hopefully the clients are getting both postcard, a phone call, and a text to remind them of their appointment. The contact for a client can be turned off if these clients select a no mailing or no calls, or the staff does not check the text messages field on the family information screen. So you can see here, these are the phone messages from the family information screens, and if you have the home phone preferred but no indication that it's a cell phone, then that client will receive a phone call but no text. If they have the no calls, then again those clients won't receive either phone calls or text. If they have no mailing indicated on their screen, then they won't get a postcard either. So some agencies like to contact their clients directly, so they prefer not to have the system calling or texting their clients. And you can choose whether or not you want to have the auto dialer set up for these automated calls and text. If you do want to be able to do it, the auto feature setup is a multi-step process. The clinic address and phone number information and an auto dialer job must exist in the My WIC system in order for those calls to be made. Clients must have an appointment scheduled in My WIC at least 24 to 48 hours to receive a reminder call. And the auto dialer calls are made by using the phone information provided by the client. So if the phone number is no good, then of course the message is not going to get to them. The information is entered on the phone grid, which appears on both the pre-cert and the family information screens in the clinic module. And the calls may be made to clients who have a listed phone number and don't have the no calls checked. If a single phone number is entered into the phone grid and the no calls checkbox is not checked, then that phone number is dialed when the appointment reminder calls. If multiple phone numbers are listed, the auto dialer system will call the number that's indicated as preferred if there's multiple listings. So we have this auto dialer screen set up. Let's just talk about the elements that are part of that. The run feature says that you want to set things up so that the system will run. The job name is just what you have designated as the name that you want to put forward for that clinic or for the agency, and it could be Monday through Friday, it could be whatever, Tuesdays only, however you want to name your job. The description kind of further amplifies the job name, just what's the purpose of that particular job. The last run, the system will tell you when the last time that was run. If it's a Tuesday only feature, then you'll see that it was last Tuesday, and then it'll project forward to say, okay, the next time it's going to be run is the upcoming Tuesday. Number of records does tell you the number of client appointments that match the job criteria and that were transmitted during the last run, so you know how many clients that were called. Number of the local agency or the clinic, the appointment types that the job was set to run for, the day and the time. So there's lots of information all on that one auto dialer screen. So let's take a little bit closer look at that. Here's our auto dialer screen. In this case, it's for the Ingham County Health Department. Let's look at that job. The job is called Appointment Reminders, All Appointments, includes all of their sites and all of the appointment types that they are normally scheduling, and they actually have not included the WCC appointments in the call list, and that's usually because they're fairly immediate. And then the call-on day, the call and the appointment day are designated. So for example, in this case, if you have an appointment on Friday, you're called on Thursday. For a Tuesday appointment, or for a Wednesday appointment, you're called on Tuesday. If you're scheduled for Monday, you're called on Friday. And you can see that the appointment date is also listed. You can see the last run information, and it also displays the number of records in a live situation. One of the other nice things is that we can also see a report in the clinic module. And if you look at reports, go to clinic, reports, scheduler, you have two different reports that are available. You have the auto dialer call result, and this lists your clients by their authorized person's name, and includes their whether or not they answered the call. If the calls are around 90 seconds, they actually answered the call and listened to the whole message. It can also tell you whether or not the call failed. So if you have a bad phone number, it'll just tell you that they called 15 times and they weren't able to contact anyone. You can follow up on those. Some clients are reluctant to answer the phone calls because it's a strange area code and it's a number they don't recognize. So because they're out of Texas, I think it's a 706 area code, you might want to warn your clients that they'll get a reminder call or a text from this One Call Now text provider. So let's practice setting up that auto dialer. There are a lot of steps involved here, so let's go through it again. So we want to sign into the WIC training or your own auto dialer for practice. You can add a test row and set up the scenarios and then delete it if you don't want to change what your existing schedule. So in this case, let's name the job 1 test, set up the call to start 2 days from today, call Monday on Thursday, call Tuesday on Friday, Wednesday on Monday, etc. Just follow that along. And then click on all the appointment types except for Project Fresh. Got that? Okay, let's try job 2 and set it up for Project Fresh. Starting 3 months from today, and we know that that may not be during your usual Project Fresh time, but this is just to practice. And then we want to call Wednesday's appointments on Monday. We only have Project Fresh set up for Wednesday, and set that only up for Project Fresh. So as I said, it includes both the auto dialer and text messages. And those text messages are available for clients who indicate on the family information screen that they want to have text messages sent. It will also tell us that the phone type has to be a cell phone and that that's the preferred phone number. So again, you might have multiple phones listed, but for the text feature to work, it has to be the primary phone, the phone type being the cell phone, and that the client has agreed to receive text messages. The client will be texted the appointment information, and that will be logged onto the text message report by family. And you can actually see the message that they were sent. If a client has an issue or concern about what the message said, then you have a chance to review that with them. And again, you go to Reports, Scheduler, and you be able to generate the report for a particular day. We have a new feature that's available to our clients called WIC Client Connect, and it's linked to my WIC. It's a web-based feature where clients can check WIC eligibility, look up nearby WIC clinics, schedule WCC or WIC Client Connect appointments if they're new to WIC. There's a feature that screens them for WIC eligibility and asks them then if they are apparently eligible, if they'd like to schedule an appointment, so or communicate with their local WIC office. So again, you a chance to be able to have clients set up an appointment for maybe a new baby to be added to the system without even having to tie up your phones. And they could do that on a weekend or a holiday when you don't have staff available. They can also look up their benefits and their next upcoming appointments. They can also send you messages so that, again, they don't have to waste their precious phone minutes trying to connect with the WIC staff. If they've traveled to another area in Michigan that they're not familiar with, they can look up area vendors based on their current location. So if they know a zip code or a town name anywhere in the state, they can check out and find out where the closest vendors are. And it also links them to other maternal child health websites. So again, it's a nice feature for you to be able to offer to your clients. The WIC Client Connect appointment type allows new applicants to schedule their own appointment if the agency has set up WCC appointment types on their schedule. For existing clients who have a WIC Client Connect account, they can notify the clinic of the need to contact them for an appointment. So clients can't look at the schedule. All they can do is put in the search function and then select the date and time of the WCC appointment that shows up, and it's very similar to your scheduler page, scheduler screen feature in terms of the options that are available for them. So again, I can get messages from my clients through the Client Connect, and I can find them by looking at the client portal appointments. I go into miscellaneous and look for client portal appointments and receive any messages that my client has sent. So before you sign out of the SSO, the training SSO, it's a great time to practice. You can sign in for the next few days as long as you've been authorized into that training database to be able to perform those practice kind of activities, see how you generate build templates and then generate schedules, practicing all those kinds of things. And again, I wouldn't hesitate to recommend reviewing the online training that's available through the MyTrain system. And my name is Terry Riemenschneider. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact either me or the 1-800-WIC-1636 and ask for the consultant du jour, or the other experts that provide you with assistance would be our WIC help desk team by pressing calling 1-800-WIC-1636. Press 1 and 1, and Karen or one of her staff will be very helpful, very willing to help you out with a scheduling question as well. Thanks again for your time today, and hopefully this has been helpful.